Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend, it's Paul here. Personal Development Unplugged, where we look at letting go of anxiety and accessing confidence. And one of the things I hear is, I wish I just felt more confident, Paul. That's what I hear from my clients. If I could just feel just a little bit more confident. And I like to say to them, well, just a little bit, or a lot, or just confident. And you see, I've called this episode, I think I've called it anyway, it might change. It's a state. It's called I've Got This. The state of I've got this. You see, to me, if you felt and you believed that you've got this, you felt that feeling, I've just got this. That's a real state of confidence and competence. Because you've got it. You just know you have. You're going to do it. You're going to do whatever it takes, but you're going to access everything you need to get this thing done. And you see, anchors. We call it, we're going to talk about anchoring. Anchoring is a process in NLP. I'm sure it's called anchoring elsewhere. I know it's in hypnosis and things like that, but NLP, anchoring. Anchoring a particular state. So you can fire off a trigger, as it were, and you access that state again. So, you see, the thing about anchors is they are everywhere. You can't get away from them. Everything in your life is triggered in some ways by anchoring or anchors. And they can be positive and they can be negative. You see, the things you see, sometimes unconsciously, you don't necessarily consciously recognize what you see, but it fires off a feeling inside you. For example, it could be that if you come home after a really bad day at work and you see your significant other or someone regularly, as you come home, you see them and you're not feeling that good, you're feeling and you're feeling that way and you see their face. And then the next time you come home and you're still, I've had a bad day at work. And as you come home, you see their face again. It doesn't matter whether it's smiling or not, you just see their face and you go, I still feel so bad. But there's that face. And if this goes on for a little while, the next time you can just be in a good state and you come home, I've had a great day at work. You come home and you see their face, and that face unconsciously triggers that feeling again. Nothing that they've done. You did it in some ways by getting that face to trigger off or be connected to that emotion. Whenever I'm working with a client and we're talking about some negative things, I'll make sure that they're not looking at me directly all the time talking about it. Because in the end, I'll be anchored to that feeling. So every time they see me, they'll get that feeling. I don't want that. I'll jump in front of them when they're feeling good and they've got the results. But I like to just be at a slight angle. So they just don't connect in that way. Sounds are the same. You get a record. But maybe years and years and years ago, you had something happen. Good or bad, positive or negative. And it happened. And that music was around you. You didn't notice it at the time, but it was there. And then years later, that music comes on. You hear it in the background. And you don't realize it's even in the background. But you change your emotion. That triggers off the emotion. There's a bugger. Smells. They'll take you back into all sorts of different contexts of the past, or memories, smells and tastes. all your senses. Sometimes if you touch something and it just feels. That's why sometimes if someone is in if they were in a real negative mood, negative state, and you hug them, you may well be anchoring your hug to that feeling that they have. So the next time you hug them for no other reason, they go back into that state. You have to be careful. Anchoring is so powerful. I have particular anchors that I've set up for myself. And I know one springs to mind that when I used to do trainings, and I'd be up on a stage and I'd be with my son because we used to do the trainings together. He'd be talking, and sometimes I'd go out of focus. I wouldn't be focusing on where we were. Or maybe my mind suddenly drifts off. Or suddenly I get a little bit nervous about something. I don't know why. But I'd have this one little anchor that when I touched a particular finger in a particular way, I'd just suddenly be back in focus and resourceful. And it just brought me straight back. So whenever I found myself wandering, fire off the anchor. And I'm back into it. And you see, we're talking about, there are some things when you see some people and you don't know why, you feel awesome because you're anchored. That state of awesome is like anchored to them. So every time you see them, you feel good for no reason. You just see them come through the door. Brilliant. We had a yoga teacher at a training once that every time his mentor, who he respected, loved, would see him through the little pane of a window of the door where he was doing it in his studio, doing his yoga class. And it's at one particular time where, as he would look through the window at him doing the yoga, he suddenly he would lose it. And he didn't know why, but it was just somehow that nervousness or whatever it was anchored and connected to the guy's face looking through the window for no other reason. I don't know. It just happens. But the thing is, it's such a powerful phenomenon and it's natural. Here's another one. And I still get it. You see, in my very first NLP trainings, and we used to do it as well, every time we have a break, people go for coffee. And as usual, everyone gets talking. And you might have, this is a 10-minute break. 10-minute comes and goes. Don't come back. So we always used to play the same bit of music right at the end of that 10 minutes. And I can remember the music that was played all the way through my NLP trainings. It was the same piece of music every break. Jeez. But the thing is now, I could be walking through a shop, one of the big supermarkets or something, and they suddenly start playing that music. And I want to go to the toilet before I come back. And I'm thinking, wow, no, I'm not there anymore. And this is years ago. This is maybe 15 years ago. But still that music makes me think about going to the toilet to get ready to go back to the training. How weird. But it does. It's so powerful. Now, because it's a natural phenomenon, we can use it to our advantage instead of letting it randomly happen. Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't it be good if you could, whenever you need it, get into the state of things like, I've got this. Let's do this. I've got this. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? I think so. I love it. So what we're going to do is something like this. You see, an anchor. We're going to use an anchor such as your thumb and little finger, because that's, if they touch together, the tips of one of your hands touch the tip of your little finger and your thumb together. Now that's unusual, isn't it? Because it's got to be unusual. It's got to be unique. It's stimulus and response. So the stimulus will be your little finger touching your thumb. That will then fire off the response, fire off the anchor of a feeling that we're going to set to that. And the reason I do a little finger to a thumb, one is it's unique, and one is it's easy to think of. You can change it later, but that's so easy to do. So I'm going to do one thing, and then we'll do, I'm going to do. You see, this resourceful state of I've got this is also a feeling of feeling good about yourself, isn't it? Because if you really feel you've got this, let's do this. I can access every resource and skill I've got. That's a pretty good feeling. Feeling good about yourself. So what I want you to do, if you're happy to do this, by the way, if you don't listen. I know you do, because this is awesome. It works. It just bloody works. And I can remember doing this. Well, I don't remember, actually look it back up. Way back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I did a podcast about this. And that's too long, isn't it? Too long. Because people come and go. And also, I will explain things differently because I'm a different person. Well, different-ish. So let's go through it together. But first of all, we're going to go through that state of feeling good about ourselves and think about a word that goes with it. And that word or set of words, I think would be something like, I've got this. Let's do this. Or I like, I've got this. So let's go with those 3 words. I've got this. And I want you to say them sometimes when I tell you to. You can either say them out loud or with an internal voice. It doesn't matter. Out loud is good because it works inside and out. But if it's only inside because there's people listening, well, do it that way. Because what we're going to do is pick this state. And we are going to either, and ideally, remember a time when you did have this. You felt good about yourself. You'd just done something and you just knew that you had it. You got it. Everything was good. You felt good about yourself. And if you can't remember a time in the past, and it has to be a specific time, I don't want a general thing. We've got to be really specific, so I really want to get the feeling. You can imagine it. So either way, think of a time that really happened in your life in the past, because that's when it happened. And it's one specific time, a memory. Or you're going to imagine a memory, either way. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to that time. I like to explain these things first so you know what to expect, so you can just let it go and have the process. So we're going to remember a time in the past, or imagine it, use our imagineering. Remember that time. And we're going to go back there. Go back in our mind as if you're floating back into that memory, back into the you that was in that memory, and actually look through your own eyes back then. See what you saw. Hear what you heard. And feel that feeling of feeling so good about yourself. And as we feel that feeling, I'm going to say some things that's going to make that feeling even more intense. And as it becomes intense, I want you to get that little finger and thumb. And when I say squeeze, you squeeze it together. And you say to yourself, I've got this. Let's do this. One of those. Or both. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Whatever feels good for you. And then we're going to let our little finger and thumb, just open up a little bit so they're not touching. And then we might do a little bit more. And then as it gets more intense again, we're going to squeeze that little finger and thumb together and say those words, I've got this. And we're going to stack that feeling more and more intense. Because when you've done this, the next time you want to feel good about yourself, feel good about yourself, you'll say to yourself, I've got this. And even saying those words will start that emotion, start that state. And as you squeeze that little finger and thumb together, you will trigger off that response. that response of feeling good about yourself, saying, I've got this. And you can do it all the time, and whenever you need it, you can have it. And you can also do this process again if you want to make it even more intense, because you think you might worry that you might have forgotten it or it's not working. You can just do it again. It's always there, though. Trust me, I'm a therapist, but you're a therapist, but I just know it works. Because it works naturally. You don't have to do anything about it in the real world. So we're going to use that natural phenomenon of stimulus and response. But we're setting up the stimulus and we're setting up the response. Why not? So if you're willing and want to, and you desire to feel good about yourself whenever you choose, we could do it now. Okay? So it's good to close your eyes, by the way. It's good to close your eyes when you do this because there's less distractions. Just my voice and your imagination or your memory, whichever suits you best. Memories could be better, but whatever suits you. So if it's okay with you, close your eyes. And I want you to remember a specific time in the past, where you really did feel good about yourself for whatever reason. You've achieved something. You'd done something. And it made you feel so good about yourself. You knew that you'd used all your skills, all your resources, and you achieved something that made you feel good about yourself. See, it doesn't matter what you achieved, it's that state. So just think of that one specific time when you really felt good about yourself because you'd done something. You've achieved something. And it made you feel good. And as you think about that time, or imagine that time, go back there now. Imagine like just leaving your body and floating into that you in that memory. Go all the way back to, because it's a good time. And as you float back to that good time, float into your body back then. So you can live it again. Live it again. See what you saw then. See everything. Sometimes clearly, sometimes just awareness, but you know what you're seeing. Hear what you heard back then. Hear the sounds. Even maybe the sounds of your own inner voice. Or maybe you were saying it out loud. How good it was. And as you see what you saw, hear what you heard, or imagine seeing what you saw and imagine hearing what you could have heard. Feel the feelings. Feel those feelings of feeling so good about yourself. Nobody else, just you. You're feeling good about you, good about yourself. And as you feel those feelings now, you didn't realize, but you can double them now. Just double that feeling. Increase it. Make it more intense. And as you make it more intense, feel it even more. And as you feel it even more, get that little finger and thumb and just squeeze them gently together and say, I've got this. I've got this. And as you get that feeling so good about yourself, and that little finger and thumb squeezing together and the words, I've got this. Yeah, feel that feeling. And then just let that little finger and thumb just open a little bit so they're not touching. And I want you to imagine now that feeling has a colour. What colour would it be when you feel this good about yourself? And when you have that feeling and the colour, make that colour more intense. Maybe brighter. Maybe so deep that it makes that feeling even more. so much more. And as you see that colour, you can imagine that feeling spinning in a direction that just feels so good. Because every emotion moves around the body in some circular fashion. So when you just get that feeling and you start to spin it even more, and the more you spin it, the more intense you get that feeling, I feel so good about myself. And as you feel that feeling as it spins with that wonderful colour, get that little finger, thumb, squeeze them together now. And say, I've got this. I've got this. And feel that feeling getting so intense. And then let that little finger and thumb open up a little bit. And breathe this feeling through every cell of your body. And as you breathe that feeling through every cell of your body, feel it double it again, and squeeze that little finger and thumb together and feel that feeling so much. Imagine that feeling coming all over every cell of your body. Squeezing that little finger and thumb together and saying, I've got this. Really stack that feeling now. So much that your unconscious mind can now link it with this little finger and thumb together and the words, I've got this. So you, the unconscious mind, can fire this feeling off whenever they squeeze their little finger and thumb together and say, I've got this. You feel so good. Give them this wonderful, resourceful state. Because it'll keep them safe. And they can start absolutely everything feeling so good. Because that's when you feel so safe. And then just let that little finger and thumb open up and just float back into your body, leaving that memory over where it was, or that imagined memory, where it was, and come back into your body, open your eyes. Now you could do that again. You could rewind and just go back to the beginning and do it again. But first of all, before we do that, if you need to do that, I think it's good to do that. What you could do is just think of something. Can you spell your surname backwards? Can you spell your Christian name backwards? Can you think of your mum's maiden name? I don't know why people ask that. Anyway, having got that, just squeeze that little finger and thumb together and say, I've got this. And notice how your state changes. If it changes lovely, intensely, that's it, you've done it. And all you need to do is let go of that finger and thumb now. Whenever you want this feeling again, you squeeze that little finger and thumb together and say, I've got this. If you want it more powerful, then just rewind and just do the same thing again. So you really stack that feeling. You stack it so intensely that you could just have it whenever you want. And then whenever you need it. Now, it could be at the beginning of something. Maybe it's a project or something you're doing, or you're going to meet somebody that you're a little bit nervous of, or doing something you're just a little bit apprehensive of. Just before you do it, squeeze that little finger and thumb together and say, I've got this. And you'll feel that state come, and then you just go and do it. And the more you do this, the more doing things will fire off this good, resourceful feeling. So in the end, you'll find sometimes you'll even forget to remember to squeeze that little finger and thumb together. And you'll have that feeling because your unconscious mind knows this is a good state to be. And when you're in this state, and being able to access all the resources and skills you ever need, you will be safe. Even if it's something like, and this come to mind, even if you just wanted to pause and be quiet for a moment or two, just to relax, you could actually say, I've got this. Squeeze that finger and thumb together and just know that you've got this as a time to relax, to be comfortable, to pause, to take a breath. Because you can use this resourceful state in any way you want. So many opportunities for it. There you go. The art and science of anchoring. But, and the thing is, just so, because some people might think, oh, is this the only state I can anchor? I've got this state. No. You can anchor any state you like. Remember the one I did with my training? I had to get a focus to really be in the resource of training, to share. Sometimes I need a state where I like to go into self-hypnosis, so I fire off a little anchor of self-hypnosis. It could be calm. It could be, as we said, peaceful. All you have to do is think of a time when you had that state. And you go back there in your mind. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel the feelings, and set it up on a different finger and thumb. Not a different thumb because you've only got two. But don't do it with a little finger because you've already anchored that to something else. Have fun with that. And if you want a little bit more, let me know. Email me, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. I'll find a way for you. Hopefully, I know this was in some ways asked again by a listener a little while ago. Hopefully they'll get this. But everyone can get this. I'd love to know what are the type of states that you have or would like to be able to access more often. Because there's two things. There's loads of things. But I'd be more than happy to do a little, maybe hypnosis. There's a hypnosis if you go back to #175. It's on my complimentary hypnosis tracks, 60 or 70 of them. Just go there, paulcloughonline.com/podcast. And you can listen to that one. Or I could create another one with a particular state. This is I've got this state, which I just wanted to produce a resourceful state. But maybe we could do anything at all. It's up to you. But I'd love to hear the type of states that you've developed for yourself as an anchor and how well they work, what it allowed you to achieve, to do, to be. Love to hear about that. So please do give me that feedback. I hope, and also I hope, that I've been able to communicate this in a way that has been easily be able to follow and do. If I haven't, let me know, because I need to improve the way I communicate every day. I've got all these thoughts and things and bits I want to share with you, but I need to be able to communicate it in a way that is shareable. So let me know if you would. And talking about shareable, obviously, as a way of paying this forward, because it's cost you nothing. It's complimentary, all these podcasts. Well, they all are, aren't they, really? Well, some aren't, but most of them are. But just as a kind of thank you, it would be great if you could share this episode and tell everyone about this podcast. That would be nice. There's normally a share button on whatever you're listening to. So if you could share this, it'd be really great with one or two or all your friends. And if you haven't subscribed, you haven't followed, please do. Please press that button. And if you want to let me know, by the way, not on email, you can find me on things like Instagram and TikTok and all those funny old platforms. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I think that's it for today, isn't it? Have more. I've got this. And wallow in feeling so good about yourself, because you are, and you're always more. See you soon, my friend. It's time to fly. So before you leave this unplugged mind of mine, this hypnotic mind, if you enjoyed this podcast or any of the other podcasts, please do subscribe. It helps this podcast grow and affect so many more people. And we love to leave everyone in a better place than we found them, and this will help the podcast. It will help you, and it will help, well, everyone that you know. So if you could just subscribe and share this podcast to everyone you blooming well know. That's the only cost. Pay it forward to everyone, and when you do that, boom, we are all going to make a difference to this little old planet Earth of ours and the people in it. But let's make a good world, a nice world. Okay, you can now prepare to leave this unplugged mind.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.